As I mentioned a couple of days ago, if there's anything to critique about the Obama administration, it should be done on the actual policy or the policy proposals that this administration is getting out there, and not on some stupid and bigoted racial grounds and excuses to denigrate this particular administration for something that is basically speaks well of this nation, when people of color actually are getting promoted into positions of power. So this is not coming from Fox News, Bill O'Reilly, Glenn Beck, or any other asshole, but actually from a constitutional lawyer who, you might guess, may not be featured on these networks because the arguments are just not very easy to refute. So here we go. Recent article by Glenn Greenwald regarding the Obama justice system. Spencer Ackerman yesterday attended a Senate hearing at which the DOD's General Counsel, Department of Defense General Counsel, testified. As Ackerman highlighted, Johnson actually said that even for those detainees to whom the Obama administration deigns to give a trial in a real court, the president has the power to continue to imprison them indefinitely, even if they are acquitted at their trial. About this assertion of presidential post-acquittal detention power, in Orwellian turn, to say the least, that should send shivers down the spine of anyone who cares at all about the most basic liberties in our country. Ackerman wrote with some understatement that it moved the Obama administration into new territory from a civil liberties perspective. In June of this year, Robert Gibbs, and Robert Gibbs is Obama's press secretary, was repeatedly asked by ABC News' Jack Tapper whether accused terrorists, mind you, who were given a trial and were acquitted, would be released as a result of the acquittal. But Gibbs, the press secretary, amazingly refused to make that commitment. But this is the first time an Obama official has affirmatively stated that they have the post-acquittal detention power, and to my knowledge, the Bush administration never claimed the power to detain someone even after they were acquitted. All of this underscores what has clearly emerged as the core principle of Obama's justice when it comes to accused terrorists, namely due process. And this due process is pure window dressing with only one goal: to ensure that anyone the president wants to keep imprisoned will remain imprisoned. They'll create various procedures to prettify the process, but the outcome is always the same: ongoing detention for as long as the president dictates. And this is not just President Obama, this goes for any future president as well. This is how I described it when Obama first unveiled his proposal of preventive detention. If you really think about the argument Obama made when he described the 5 categories of detainees and the procedures to which each will be subjected, it becomes manifest just how profound a violation of Western justice conceptions this is. What Obama is saying is this: We will give real trials only to those detainees who we know in advance we will convict. For those who don't think we can convict in a real court, we'll get convictions in a military commissions, which I am going to continue. And for those we can't convict even through military convictions, we'll just imprison them anyway with no charges. In other words, preventively detain them. But after yesterday, we have to add an even more extreme prong to this policy. If by chance we miscalculate and deign to give a trial to a detainee who is then actually acquitted, we'll still just keep them in prison anyway. We'll still just keep them in prison anyway by presidential decree. That added step renders my criticism of Obama's conception of justice even more applicable. Giving trials to people only when you know for sure in advance that you'll get convictions is not due process. It's called show trials. In a healthy system of justice, the government gives everyone it wants to imprison a trial, and then imprisons only those whom it can convict. The process, of course, is constant trials, and the outcome varies, convictions and acquittals. But Obama seems to be saying the opposite. In his scheme, it is the outcome that is constant. Everyone ends up imprisoned, while the process varies and is determined by the government. Trials for some, military commissions for others, and indefinite detentions for the rest. The government picks and chooses which process you get in order to ensure that it always wins. A more warped system of justice is hard to imagine. Show trials are exactly what the Obama administration seems to plan. In its own twisted way, the Bush approach was actually more honest and transparent. They made no secret of their belief that the president could imprison anyone he wanted without any process at all. One might question whether this is Obama's view as well, because he's creating an elaborate, multi-layered, and purely discretionary justice system that accomplishes exactly the same thing, while creating a false appearance that there is due process being accorded. And for those who, some of my friends included on here, for those who justify what Obama is doing, or what his defense secretary or his press secretary is announcing, they're not making unreasonable points that Bush left Obama with a difficult quandary at Guantanamo. But how will that excuse apply when these new detention powers are applied not only to existing Guantanamo detainees, but to future and not yet abducted detainees as well? Like in Afghanistan, perhaps. Please think about this, my friends. Good night.